Hello everyone, I'm Chief Meteorologist Ed Bloodsworth over at WKRG News 5. Wanted to spend a couple of minutes to talk a little bit about this potential tropical threat that we may be expecting to arise over the Gulf Coast by the end of next week, possibly into next weekend. There's a lot floating around out there in terms of folks posting individual models and folks kind of freaking out as soon as they see a worst case scenario for any specific location. So I want to dive into this in a little greater detail, talk about what we know and what we do not know at this time, and why there is such a high degree of uncertainty regarding this potential system. We'll begin with the National Hurricane Center's outlook area. The area of orange represents the region where an area of low pressure or tropical development could occur. A 60% chance of that now over the next 7 days. It ranges from the western Caribbean all the way into the south central Gulf of Mexico, including the Bay of Campeche. It's a very large area, again, but also noting the uncertainty in regarding where this thing is actually going to form within this region. And this area has actually expanded. It's gotten larger over the last couple of days. So what is going to drive this? There's a feature called the Central American Gyre. We see this pop up either in late spring or the early fall, and it's just a very broad area of low pressure, of cyclonic flow over Central America, hence its name, the Central American Gyre. And during certain parts of the hurricane season, we can see little surface areas of low pressure rotating around this larger gyre. You can almost think of it like a big merry-go-round, and each individual horse would be an area of low pressure kind of rotating around the bigger circulation. And in certain cases, those surface lows can end up spitting out tropical systems. This is not an uncommon thing. We actually see this quite often, again, early in the season and as we move into the latter parts of the hurricane season. So it's called the Central American Gyre. So, looking at this development area, we believe we're going to have this gyre move north. There's also going to be a stalled surface front of this area, and there's going to be the upper level environment's going to be conducive where we could see deepening pressure in this area. So, the big question at this point, we're very confident at this point that there's going to be something that forms in this area. I think the confidence that occurring is starting to grow. But what we do not know, exactly where in that orange area will a surface low form? That we do not know at this point. We've had models show low forming in the Caribbean, others forming north of the Yucatan, others not forming anything, and then moving into the western Gulf of Mexico and then finally getting its act together. Some form a very tight, compact, strong surface low. Others keep a very large mess, just a big, broad area of big rain. So there is no agreement at this point amongst any of the individual models. So looking at any models, the American GFS, the European model, the Canadian model, whichever one, looking at an individual model at this point and trying to say that that's going to be the eventual outcome, well, that's useless at this point because nothing has formed yet. These models are trying to paint out something that is yet to actually develop. And that's very important with tropical systems. Once a center develops, models will start to hone in on it, and we start to get more accuracy in all of our model guidance. So what I've outlined an area from basically the central Gulf Coast all the way over to the Florida Keys. It's a large area, but most of the modeling that we have suggested kind of paints out this general scheme. Fewer models now are looking at a Texas situation. It looks like the upper level environment is going to be one that tends to favor maybe more of a northerly track with these systems or a northeasterly track. So that's where we stand with this. It's a very complex scenario. It's a very complex setup over over this region, over Central America and now into the Gulf of Mexico. So based off of this, here are the things I think you should know regarding this disturbance and what you should be doing here. We know that the chance of development is rising at this point. We're getting very confident at this point. There's way too much uncertainty to tell you exactly where this is going to go, what shape it's going to be in, how strong it's going to be, and where a landfall point would be. It's impossible to tell you that at this point. I wish we could, but we cannot do that with any kind of certainty at this point. But based off of what we're seeing, if this were to come together either as a significant tropical system, tropical storm or hurricane, or a just very broad, messy low, impacts along the Gulf Coast would be felt during the second half of the week or into the following weekend. So you've got plenty of time to watch this. So what you should be doing this weekend, enjoy your football games. Head out to the Baldwin County Fair. It's nothing you have to worry about this weekend because we do not anticipate anything will form this weekend. Something will try to form early next week. That's what we're thinking at this point. And once we get a well-defined area center of whatever forms, a center, an area of low surface, low pressure, at that point, I think we're going to have a much, much better handle on what this is, what it'll become, and where it will go. That's where we stand now. So we're trying to be as honest as we can that there is just more uncertainty in the system that we would like to see, that I know you would like to see. So I would just say, just stay with us, stay updated. We'll bring you updates as needed. There will not be any tropical system making landfall this weekend or early next week on the Gulf Coast. We're very confident of that at this point. It's the end of next week into the following weekend when we could see tropical storm, possibly a hurricane, or just a big, messy area of rain start approaching the coast. That's where we stand now tonight. We'll keep you updated through the weekend here at WKRG and all the way into next week as well. Thanks for joining us, and we'll keep you updated.